getting essentially 3 words for the price of 1. If you understand the verbal root that lies behind other nouns and even adjectives, you can see how different groups of words all revolve around the same basic word root. Okay? The difficulty of all of this is that almost all verbs are formed of a 3-letter root. And I'm going to just put 3 X's up here to demonstrate any 3 consonants. Now, this gets very confusing for sheer vocabulary building and memorization, because 3 letters start looking a lot like 3 other letters you tried to sort out. And all the verbs start turning into mush after a couple of vocabulary lists come down the pike at you. But this is the way the language works, all right? Now, having noted that we have what is called a verbal root, which is simply 3 consonants that have meaning, like avad, you'll notice that I have not put any vowels. That's not written very well. I have not put any vowels with these 3 consonants. The minute I start adding vowels to these 3 consonants, I am actually making a specific verb form out of them. I'm going to begin to conjugate the verb. All right? The most fundamental verb form is formed by taking the 3 letters, and remember these could be the 3 letters of any root, and adding this vowel pointing of a comets and a pathach. Now you can actually say the word. Do you understand the problem when we're just talking about the verbal root, ayin, beith, daleth? There's no way to talk about the root except to spell it. What's the root here? Well, it's the root ayin, beith, daleth. That becomes cumbersome. This vowel pointing, however, the minute we add vowels so that we can say the word, and instead of spelling it ayin, beith, daleth, we can now talk about a verbal root avad. Now we've said the word. You hear it? Avad. But the minute we've done that, we've made an actual verb form out of it. Because the minute we've added these words with vowels, we have turned the root into the form of the perfect, which is the tense we're looking at. And as it turns out, this is the 3rd singular masculine form of the verbal root ayin, beith, daleth. So if I said, what does avad mean? The correct answer would be avad, as it stands, is the perfect 3rd singular masculine root of a verb that means to serve, so it doesn't simply mean to serve. It now is the verb form, 3rd singular masculine. He served. Past tense. Okay? Get it? He served. Now we've got a verb form. Okay? 2 points that I'm trying to make here. Okay? One is that what we have here is the simplest verb form in the conjugation of the perfect. I said we're going to add endings. Did we add an ending here? No. The first form is the simplest form, and that means that our verb paradigms and our references to verbs are going to start with a 3rd person form. All right? Can you see in your mind, this is the curse of learning grammar this way from a textbook with paradigms, can you see your Greek paradigm in your mind? Whoa, wait. Where'd you start? First person, second person, or third person? First person. In Hebrew, all our paradigm charts are going to start with the 3rd person. All right, so everything's upside down. All right? But since everything in this language seems to go the other way, this is quite consistent. All right? It actually sort of helps you as long as you do the fork in the road at the beginning, and now we're thinking Hebrew and not thinking Greek. At least everything's it has an inner consistency. All right. The second point I'm trying to make here is that when we talk about verb forms, because the perfect third singular masculine is, in fact, the simplest form, we use that as the way to talk about verbs. Right? You do that sort of in Greek too, right? You talk about the verb luo, but if you really want luo, it doesn't mean to loose, it means I. Right. So you've got it conjugated already. So we're going to use this form and these vowel points to talk about the root. So if I would ask you to parse or to analyze the verb form, and it boiled down to being this root, you'd say, and that is from the verbal root avad. A lexicon may simply give you the 3 letters. A vocabulary list may simply give you the 3 letters without any vowels. But in order to say or pronounce the root, we arbitrarily, this is the convention, we arbitrarily use these vowels of the third singular masculine of the perfect form, just so we can talk about it. Does that make sense? I'm belaboring the obvious here, but I don't want you to be confused. And the essence of the verb form itself doesn't have any vowels. It's just the consonants. Now, we'll go on to realize that we can add endings to this. If we added an ending T, let's not worry about the vowels right now, we'd have avad plus an ending that you're going to learn is the first singular common of the perfect. Sight unseen, what does avad T? With a T ending, I just told you this is the first singular common ending. Translate. I, now whatever the verb means, in the past tense, right? I served, okay? We're going to come to see that we can take the same verbal root and we can add prefixes to them. All right? A verbal root with a prefixed yod is the first form of the imperfect tense. We're getting way ahead of ourselves now. This is a couple lessons down the pike. But just to show you how all of this works, if this sight unseen is the imperfect third singular masculine form of the verbal root avad, and the imperfect means future, translate this. You don't know the vowels yet, it's yavod, but so what? Just seeing this much and knowing what I've told you, this verb means he will serve. Get it? Okay. All right? I mean, there are other things we can do just by manipulating. If you put in this vowel pointing, now you have the participle form. This is the participle. Serving. He is serving in the temple. If you do this to a verb form, you get the infinitive form. And in Hebrew, the infinitive often adds the preposition lamed, which should go with a schwa, but we got rule of schwa, so you're going to do this to it. You already know all that. Now you have the infinitive form, to serve. Get it? So you see, even at step 1 here, we're sort of anticipating how all of this is going to work. Our